Ring ding ding, ring ding ding. Your phone's going off and it's going crazy. It's time for you to wake up. So you finally get out of bed, ready to start your day, but then you realize something. You're actually just not ready to start your day. Like you're feeling really groggy, really tired, almost like you got the worst night of sleep ever. Well, it's really that bad because that's what screen addiction can do to you. It can hurt your mental health to absolute extremes. Today, that's what I'm going to be talking about. Screen addiction, how we can prevent it, what it is, how it's seen in today's life, and how we can go about fixing it in the future. So starting off, what is screen addiction? We need to understand it before we can try to solve this global problem, right? Well, screen addiction refers to the compulsive and excessive use of electronic screens, such as smartphones, computers, tablets, televisions, anything with a screen, right? Screen addiction, so it's got to have a screen, right? Leading to negative consequences in various aspects of life, including physical health, mental well-being, i.e., you're sleeping very poorly, relationships, whether that be a girlfriend, your family, or more, and also productivity, which can actually hurt your job and your work-life balance, right? Well, tracing back one of the biggest sources of this screen addiction, while screen addiction has been around for many, many years, tens of thousands of years, right? As long as we've had screens. I'm not sure if that was tens of thousands of years, but we've had screens for a long time, right? COVID-19 really enhanced the problem. When everyone went inside due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we didn't have anything else to do. So what did we do? We got on our phones, we got on our tablets, we got on our video games, and we got addicted to the screens. Users went up significantly on almost every single social media platform. Everyone was watching anime, everyone was playing video games. Every single tech company was hiring tons of software engineers to try to keep up with the users. And all of this led to more and more screens in our daily life, which is ultimately a bad thing. So, let's talk about some current day examples. Now that we've talked about the past, let's talk about some current day examples in my life. What are some examples that I see with me when it comes to my screens? Well, specifically, there's three things that come to mind for me. The first one is my general workflow and out of the classroom work that I've been doing. Recently, I just actually finished a project for my combinatorics class where I was utilizing Blender to create all sorts of shapes. I was trying to learn it as a beginner. I took a donut course, as you can see on the screen here, and I did a few other things to try to learn the 3D software. Now, yes, this is cool and all, but it ultimately left me just sitting at my computer for hours and hours and hours on end. And that is not the greatest thing. Another example in my daily life is playing video games. Now, I love to play video games. I'm a competitive person, what can I say? And I love to keep up with my friends. And so that's my best way to do it. When I'm playing video games with my friends back home, it's almost like we're sitting down and having a chat just like we would in real life, except we're doing it in a virtual world. That is why I like video games so much. Although it can hurt my mental health if I play too much. And finally, the third example I have in my daily life is social media apps such as TikTok. Nowadays, the algorithms are so personalized that it knows everything about you to try to keep you on the app as long as possible. So with these examples in mind, let's sort of think through them through the human perspective, and then we'll look at the technology perspective. So from a human perspective, when it comes to this screen addiction phenomenon, humans are many times trying to escape from reality. They're trying to have a break from all their stressful days, to play some video games with their friends or do other things. This also leads into psychological needs, right? If your needs are not being met in the real world, then some people will look to the virtual world to find those needs, right? A third example would be staying up to date. I do that when I play video games. I like to stay up to date and also connect with my friends. So instead of, having a general FaceTime call or a meeting with my friends, I'll just be like, hey, let's hop on with the games and we'll catch up, right? a very easy thing to do, but it does lead to more screen, and more screen ultimately can lead to addiction. From the technology perspective, these type of apps, these video games, these softwares like Blender, they need to make money. They're a business at the end of the day, right? Many of them, like the TikTok specifically, has a very personalized algorithm that is intended to keep their users on the app as long as possible, because that's how they make money off you, by serving you ads. So ultimately, they want their user base to be as active as possible, which leads to more screen time. Another thing is they like accessibility. They're trying to get everyone on the app at a certain time. And finally, resources spent. Some apps, some softwares, especially Blender, take a lot of resources to deliver you that good service, right? So now that we've kind of understood what it actually is that we're looking at, this problem of screen addiction, let's go ahead and talk about the statistics. So, UK adults spend an average of 8 hours, 41 minutes a day on screens, more time than they're actually asleep, which is worrisome. We now spend an average of a day a week online, which is insane. One study from Notre Dame on university students found that high avoidant attachment, low self-esteem, and high anxiety level, all three which are bad emotions, may lead to a tendency for smartphone addiction, compounding the negative impacts of digital technology itself. So basically, this means if you're in a bad spot in life, looking at screens more will only make you worse, as this study has found. And finally, the third statistic I have here is that 50% of school-age students said social media makes them feel less confident about their appearance and how interesting their life is. So when you're constantly looking at these TikTok apps, these social media apps, it only makes you feel worse about yourself and never better. Okay, so with those statistics out of the way, let's sort of gauge how we can take this problem and sort of search for a solution. And I'll specifically do it by showing you guys how I've been doing it to sort of keep myself from getting in the hutch of completely being addicted to screens. So here's 4 things that I've sort of came up with to keep myself from being addicted to screens. The first one is building good habits. The second one is having a concrete schedule. The third one is finding new hobbies that don't involve screens. Should have put that in there. Do not involve screens, right? And the fourth one is to meet new people that you can interact with in the real world. Not on a video game, but in the real world. I have examples for all of these, so let's go ahead and hop into them. So recently I read the book called Atomic Habits. It's a great book to help you build new habits. It goes through it in a very formulaic way to try to teach anyone who's a complete beginner to any sort of self-improvement journey how to sort of restructure their life in a better way. My favorite quote from the book is this one. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Now, the way this quote sort of works is, I'll give you an example. Say your goal is to eat healthier, right? Well, just having that goal isn't going to do anything. It's going to come down to your systems or what you have in place that will really keep you in line. So if you don't have any junk food in your pantry, then that means you won't have that system in place that will keep you from eating healthy, right? And the same thing goes for screen time. If you don't give yourself the opportunity to spend a ton of time on screens, then you won't fall to that level, right? And you will rise to the level you will rise to your expectations, not to your goals, but you'll stay at your systems level, right? Hopefully I explained that, right? Here's me going to the gym. So this is just building good habits, right? Getting outside, working hard, lifting. I try to do it very consistently. Another thing is to keep a very consistent schedule. That's something that will really help you stay off the screens. So currently my lifting/basketball schedule is every other day. So I like to lift one day, play basketball the next. It keeps myself wanting more without getting bored of the same thing and keeping myself off the screens. And finally, I have recently met a ton of new people in my new club that I joined recently, which is CS Careers Averaging Tech. It is a great club. I've learned a whole bunch of new people while being there. I've gotten some great connections. We've had many great events like the Microsoft one, as you can see here, and we're currently building the club out to even more people. All of these things can improve your life by keeping you off the screens and in the real world. Now, let's look at some innovative solutions to this problem now that we've gauged how it is that screen addiction works and what are the solutions to this problem. Well, let's just look at TikTok currently, and we'll come up with some features that TikTok could currently do to help keep its users less addicted. So the current TikTok, there's a few things that are completely wrong with it when it comes to screen addiction. The first one is that it is an endless scrolling social media. So that means you could endlessly be there on the app. There's no limitation. So you could be there forever on the screen. The algorithm is very, very personalized, so it tries to keep you there as long as possible. Once again, TikTok's ultimate goal to make money is to keep their users on the app as long as possible so they can serve you ads. Very, very important that all the users should know this. And also, TikTok is based on viral short-term trends, so people will feel like if they miss a day on the app or even a week on the app, then they're going to miss the next big meme, right? Or the next big thing that's happening that everyone's talking about. And then that goes into the fourth point I have here, which is there's a very large user base, so people want to join in since there's such a high user base. Maybe that will change when it gets banned soon, but currently we're going to look at TikTok here. So some features that I kind of came up with to make a more improved TikTok, comparing it to its old features, is the first one that there should be a short queue time to open. Now, I'll explain this in a second with my example that I've currently been using. But basically, a short queue means that when you open the app, you have to wait a few seconds before you actually get in. Just this few seconds of time will keep people from getting on the app 24/7. Like when you're just waiting for the bus or waiting for some other thing to happen in 2 minutes, you won't be on TikTok, right? If you have to wait a tiny bit. It will still keep people on the app, just not at bad times and small increments of time throughout the day, which is worse for your screen time. Another one I have here is to add reminders of time spent. Currently, they do have one, but that's only after an hour or two of watching. I'm not sure, but it does take way too long to activate. It should be much more frequent than it is currently of how long you've spent on the app. And also there should just be good usage monitoring and daily reports so that people can actually keep up to date with how much screen time they're using so that they're aware of it. It goes very much with like healthy eating. If you don't know what you're eating, then you'll never be able to fix the problem, right? You want to track your food. It's the same thing with screen time. You want to track your screen time so you can see how you can improve it. So here's the example of my short queue time. It's currently a third-party app called 1 Second. I'll show it to you right now. So basically, the way it works is that I open up the app, and instead of going straight into TikTok, it pulls me through a shortcut to 1 Second. 1 Second will then have me wait an entire second and a half, maybe even more, and then it will show my last time I logged into TikTok and if I want to continue to TikTok. This app has been amazing for me to keep me off TikTok in these down times, and I'll only get on the app currently about once a day at maximum. So it keeps my screen time down substantially. If they could build this into TikTok rather than having to use a third-party app, that would change a lot and make the app experience a whole lot better. So hopefully this talk about screen time and screen time addiction has helped you sort of gauge how it is you want to tackle this problem. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Here are my references from all the statistics and all the different information I got from this video. Thank you, and I'll see you guys soon.